Run your finger along your jawline. Start near your ear. Follow the bone down and forward along the curve, all the way to the front. There, that small point of bone at the bottom of your face. That's your chin, and nothing else alive has one. Not a chimp, not a gorilla, not a dog or a horse or a dolphin, not even the other humans. The Neanderthals, the Denisovans, the cousins who walked this planet beside your ancestors for thousands of years. They all had jaws. Some had jaws far stronger than yours, but none of them had that little forward point at the front. You do. Every person alive does. And after more than a century of arguing, science still can't agree on why. You probably assume it's structural, a brace, something that makes the jaw stronger, the way a buttress holds up a wall. That's the obvious answer. It's also most likely wrong, because when researchers actually tested it, the chin turned out to be in the wrong place, pointing the wrong way, doing almost nothing. So what is it doing there? First, be precise about what a chin is. Anatomists call it the mental protuberance. Mental from the Latin word for chin, not the Latin word for mind. It's a wedge of bone at the front of your lower jaw that juts forward, past the roots of your teeth. That's the key detail. Your teeth sit above it. Your chin sticks out beyond them. Now picture a chimpanzee's jaw. The front slopes backward and down, away from the teeth. Same with a gorilla. Same with every monkey and every ape anyone has ever studied. And inside their jaw, where you have nothing, they have a thick bridge of bone joining the two halves. Anatomists call it the simian shelf. So apes reinforce the jaw on the inside. You have a bump on the outside. Those are not two versions of the same solution. They may not be solutions at all. Charles Darwin noticed this. In The Descent of Man, he listed the projecting chin among the peculiar features that set humans apart from every other ape. He didn't solve it. Neither did anyone else for the next 100 years. The chin became a running joke in anthropology, the one visible, universal human trait that nobody could explain. And it isn't for lack of ideas. There have been dozens. Some argued the chin anchors the tongue for speech, that talking demanded a new brace at the front of the jaw. But your tongue muscles attach to the inner surface of the bone, behind the chin, not to the point that sticks out. The bump is on the wrong side. Others argued sexual selection, that chins are simply attractive, chosen by mates across thousands of generations. But every population on Earth has them, in both sexes, in every shape. That's a strange result for a beauty contest, which leaves the oldest idea of all, and something much stranger. The oldest idea is chewing. It feels right. When you bite down, your lower jaw doesn't just squeeze, it bends and twists, like a bar wrenched at both ends. So maybe the chin is reinforcement, extra bone laid down exactly where the stress is worst. Engineers thicken beams. Bodies thicken bone under load. Why not here? Then people measured it. David Daegling, a biomechanist at the University of Florida, spent years studying how the human lower jaw actually behaves under chewing forces. His answer was blunt. The chin adds very little where it would matter. The forces that deform your jaw are concentrated elsewhere, and bone placed to resist them would sit somewhere else entirely. And there's a worse problem for the theory, much worse. Chins didn't appear when chewing got harder. They appeared as chewing got easier. Over the last few 100,000 years, your ancestors' faces were shrinking, fast. The heavy jaws and thick teeth of earlier humans were replaced by something smaller, flatter, weaker. Daniel Lieberman, the Harvard evolutionary biologist who has spent a career on the human head, has traced that reduction in detail. and the cause isn't mysterious. Your ancestors simply stopped chewing so much. They cut food with stone tools. They pounded it soft. They cooked it. Richard Wrangham, also at Harvard, has argued for decades that fire outsourced part of digestion. Food arrived at the mouth already broken down, and a body that doesn't have to grind can afford a smaller gut, a smaller jaw, smaller teeth. So the face pulled in. Everything retreated. Everything except one edge. Here is the picture that finally makes the chin make sense. Think of the front of your lower jaw as two stacked parts. The upper part holds your teeth. The lower part is the base, the floor of the whole structure. As human faces shrank, the tooth-bearing part pulled backward. It had to. Smaller teeth, softer food, shorter jaw. But the base stayed where it was. And when the top retreats while the bottom holds still, what's left standing is a ledge, a point, a chin. Your chin may not be something that grew. It may be something that was left behind when the rest of your face walked away. That's not just a nice image, it's testable, and it was tested. At the University of Iowa, Nathan Holton and Robert Franciscus led a study tracking facial growth in dozens of people, from infancy all the way into adulthood. If the chin were a response to chewing strain, its development should march in step with chewing forces. Biggest bite, biggest chin. It didn't. The chin's growth didn't follow chewing stress at all. It followed the overall shrinking and reshaping of the face. Changes that accelerate in adolescence when hormones remodel the entire skull. Franciscus said it plainly. The chin looks like a byproduct, a remnant of a face becoming smaller, which opens a much stranger question. Why were human faces shrinking in the first place? The answer may have nothing to do with food. Around the time modern faces began to soften, something else was happening to your ancestors. They were becoming radically more cooperative. Larger groups, trade goods moving hundreds of miles, shared child rearing, long alliances between strangers which no other ape maintains. And that kind of life punishes a particular personality. The reactive, dominant, quick-to-swing male does not win in a society that runs on being tolerated by 200 other people. Wrangham calls this self-domestication. The argument, laid out in his book The Goodness Paradox, is that humans bred aggression out of themselves. The hot-tempered got excluded or driven off or quietly out-reproduced by the agreeable. And here's why that lands on your face. When any animal becomes tame, its skull changes in the same predictable way. Shorter snout, smaller teeth, lighter brow. A face that looks, in one word, younger. It happens in dogs, in foxes, in cattle, in bonobos. It happened in you. A softer, shorter, flatter face. A jaw pulled inward. And that small point of bone left standing at the front. Think about what that would mean. We treat the chin as a symbol of toughness, a strong jaw, a hard chin. Take it on the chin. It's our shorthand for defiance, for taking a hit and staying up. It may be the exact opposite. Your chin may be a monument to your species getting gentler, a fossil of the moment humans became the ape that could stand to live in a crowd. The toughest-looking bone on your face might be a scar left by peace. But you should know this is not settled. James Pampush, an anthropologist who has studied the chin more closely than almost anyone, argues something that makes a lot of researchers uncomfortable. The chin may have appeared very fast in evolutionary terms, and it may not have been selected for at all. Not for chewing, not for speech, not for beauty, not even as a tidy byproduct of a shrinking face. It could be closer to an accident that spread, a shape that came along for the ride, drifting through a small population, then carried across the whole planet by people who had no idea they were carrying anything. Pampush and Daegling reviewed a century and a half of chin research together and reached an uncomfortable conclusion. No hypothesis has clearly won. Your chin might mean everything or nothing. Now watch what you do with it. When you think hard, your hand goes to your chin. It's so universal that sculptors carved the gesture into stone thousands of years ago, and you still read it instantly as concentration. In a photograph, people lift the chin to look confident, tuck it to look harmless. English has carried insults for lacking one for centuries. None of that is biology. All of it is meaning we invented and wrapped around a piece of bone whose purpose nobody can name. Because your body is full of these. Answers to questions nobody asks anymore. Solutions to problems that stopped existing. Leftovers from lives you will never live. Your chin is the most visible one you own. It's on the front of your face. You see it every single morning. Human beings have carried it onto every continent, through every climate, for at least 200,000 years. And it may not be for anything. So run your finger back down your jaw, to the front, to the point. It isn't a tool. It probably isn't armor. It might not even be a design. It's a signature. The shape your species was left with after it stopped needing to fight, stopped needing to grind, and started needing each other. And it belongs to you, and to nothing else on Earth.